Hello, my name is Martin and welcome back to another video. So this week I'm at the East Lancashire Railway and I'm doing a spontaneous video because we came down just to have a look round, see what was going on. The intention was not to make a video, but look is what is on display. Now if you know your stuff, you'll know that that is quite a unique loco, the Class 28 Metrovick Co Bo Locomotive. There was a famous painting I'm going to show you in this video that was done about this locomotive. Anyway, at the minute it's engineless, so we're going to have a quick tour through the locomotive and look at it minus its engine, because it's being preserved and preservation is an ongoing thing at the moment. Now, just before we have our walkthrough of our Class 28 Metrovick Co Bo Locomotive, let's check out this. There was a Class 03 there. 03 shunter, so we got to have a close encounter with the Class 03 as well. Now we cabbed it inside and I got to start it up. Made my day. Check out this. Right, we're starting the Class 03. This one here. Right here. That was nice. That was nice. Moment of the day, that. Will it rev? Will it? Yes. I may have a little rev on this film. I think you got it on that lever. Yeah, that very slowly. You can go probably about a third of the way. Right. Fantastic. Nice. Power. Sound a bit there.
So you obviously these in your tread, right? But you can't be doing both at the same time. So of course.
Right, so enough of that diesel thrash. Let's get back to our little unique locomotive, the Metropolitan Vickers Type 2 Co Bo diesel electric locomotive. Now, there were 20 of these things built between 1958 and 1959. Well, let me explain to you that Co Bo bit. What's that all about? If you look at this picture here of the model, if you look at the bottom one there, you'll see that there's quite a unique wheel arrangement on the axles. One bogie, which is the thing that carries all the wheels, had 3 axles on, hence 6 wheels, and the other bogie had 2 axles on, hence 4 wheels. It was quite a unique design. There wasn't anything like it as far as I was concerned. So without going into all the details, that arrangement became known as Co Bo because of the way the wheels were arranged. So that's what we're talking about when we say Co Bo. Anyway, let's crack on and meet our guide, Chris. This gentleman here, this is Chris. Chris is going to take us through the locomotive and keep us updated and let us know what's going on and where they're up to. Engine's being rebuilt at the minute, isn't it? Yeah, right, brilliant. So we'll crack on, we'll go inside. Quite a few interesting things to look at. It's a very nerdy video this week, so if you like your machines and your 1950s technology, this is the machine for you.
So this is the number 2 end cab.
Right.
Just wait for you to all get in.
It's a work in progress.
This is all very work in progress. I think this panel is all wired in here. Here's your power controller.
You got a key, Chris?
No, I don't.
Have you got one? Yeah. Yeah.
So key goes in there, does it?
Hang on, I'll take it out and we'll start again.
Yeah.
Right, so yeah, you get your driver's key like a normal key.
Yeah.
Goes in, and then direction, so that's forward, reverses back there.
Yeah.
And then power. And unlike most things, it actually has notches as well.
All right.
10 of them.
So rather than power handle on a lot of the other locos, it's got that thing there, is it? It's got like a
Yeah, that is the power handle.
Yeah.
And like most things, it's got an interlock, so you can't move that when it's in off.
All right.
And then your key locks it up.
Brilliant.
There's the 2 brakes here.
Right, question.
Yeah.
That's the loco brake.
Yes.
That's the train brake. Was it vacuum only?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a D&M vac brake valve, yeah.
And will it be vacuum only when it's running
Yes,
again?
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. There's
Brilliant.
nowhere to put all the gubbins for it not to be for a start, and none of them ever were. So
You couldn't convert it to.
no, not really. No,
air
there
brake.
is, I don't think there's physically room to put all the bits in anyway.
Right. That's for the multiple working, is it?
No, that's for the corridor where you would be able to walk through. Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
We're not going to open them because they're
No.
a beggar to shut. But
Wow.
There's a lot of breeze coming from.
Drafty.
there will be. Yes. That's why they have 3 kilowatt heating in here.
And that's what it looks like when those doors are open and that gangway is pulled out. The reason for it was these were a 1,200 horsepower locomotive. If they needed more power, they could stick 2 together, work them in multiple, or double head them, as the rail enthusiasts say, a double header. Stick 2 together, and they could work together on a train, as you can see on these 2 here. The idea of the gangway was so that the train crew could go from one locomotive to the other. It was a bit of an outdated idea even when these things were built, and when a lot of these, there were other locomotives that were built with these front gangway doors. I don't know that they were ever used. Be interesting to know if they ever were used, but they became a bit of a liability because later on in other locomotives that had these gangway doors, and it was always the early batches of the other locomotives that had the gangway doors. Later ones didn't have them, so it looks like they weren't a successful thing. But anyway, the ones that were built with them with gangway doors, I'm talking about other classes now, they ended up welding them up, plating them over. Obviously this is the only survivor, so it's still got its gangway doors on, but the drivers used to complain that the doors made the cab of the loco really drafty and really cold, and you can imagine, can't you? So we're going to just take a look now at the heaters in this locomotive.
5 600-watt heaters,
So you've got heaters up there.
and then 2 behind the driver as well. One up there and one under the door.
Alright, good stuff. And is that the manual?
That's the handbrake.
Yeah.
Parking brake, if you like. They're not designed to stop anything, just designed to stop it rolling.
Right.
There's one in each end on this loco.
Right.
And each one operates each bogey's brakes separately.
Ah.
So this
you'd have to go. You have to wind on here and then wind on the other end.
Yeah. If you want to apply both, yes. If you're standing on level track, you probably only need one.
Yeah.
But yes, in theory, you put both on. Yeah.
Right.
And this is the electrics. You'll
Electrics.
be able to see more from the other side.
Right.
When you walk into the engine room.
We're going through into the engine room.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's go.
Well, the whole lot's the engine room, but yes, this is the generator end. Yes.
Wow.
So then you got all the covers off the cubicle behind you if you want to get a better shot of it. I don't know which way you're going to point.
So when was it built? This? When was it originally? 58.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 1950s technology there, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Very
the
interesting.
design, most of the drawings have got dates in 56 and 57 on, I think, but it was actually built in 58.
Yeah. That stack of like discs there, they're all cams. That's the power control.
That's the load regulator,
Yeah.
which I'm not going to try and explain.
This one?
Yeah. The thing at the back,
I think they've got that.
Oh, that,
with
yeah.
all the contacts on, yeah. That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, we're missing an entire room there, aren't we? Yeah, don't try and explain that. It'll be too much for me.
No. I'm not having enough the T for that one yet.
Yeah. And those are all the contactors, or basically just relays.
These are all very digital except for... And these are the exhausters, so these are vacuum pumps for the brakes.
So they're what I would think of as a compressor, but
Backwards.
they create a vacuum.
Yeah, they basically work in a very similar way to a compressor. It's just that you've got the pipe connected to the input end instead of the output end.
Right.
And then there is an air compressor which will mount on the end of the generator here, which isn't on at the moment.
So, next question.
Yeah. Fire extinguishers.
Are they?
Yeah, they work like ones on a ship or something. The idea is they fill the room with CO2.
Wow. Also the CO2.
Yeah, so up just to your right there, that's the spray nozzle that comes out of.
Wow.
Switch is really like click. You can tell they're really built.
Proper heavy, can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a proper switch, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Proper
Really
switch. that.
nice and tactile.
It's all...
So, train heat boiler.
Yes, it's just a diesel-fired boiler. It makes steam, and steam gets put down that triangular thing there, which is a pipe.
Right. Yeah, because you sort of think of it as a freight loco because of that famous painting.
Because of Congo, yeah.
Yeah.
They work mixed traffic engines, they did a lot of passenger work.
So mixed traffic, yeah.
And they did a lot of passenger work, yeah. All the brake gear is over here.
So this is all braking.
Yeah, it's all mounted on the wall.
Right.
Yeah, on a lot of locos, they build them separately.
Yeah, a lot of locos have it all on a frame, which you can lift out, but this is all welded to the wall, basically.
Same with the electrical cubicle
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
inside out compared to most locos. On a lot of locos, you could lift the cubicle out, but here it's a room that you go and walk
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
And then generator.
Generator.
Yeah.
This big hole here, that's where the silencer would go.
Wow.
And these two holes are where the exhausts.
So exhaust. Yeah.
Yeah. So them two up there, and then the silencer goes in that big hole there.
I love the way it's. Forgive me for this, but you like the nautical feel where it's got doors like that.
Yeah.
I just love that.
It's very. It feels very open at the moment, but once everyththing's in here, it's going to be quite packed in.
Yeah, because you're gonna have a boiler there, aren't you? When you're walking around,
Yeah.
you're gonna have. And I imagine when it's running as well, it'll be deafening, won't it?
Yeah. That silencer is crucial as well because the engine relies on some weird back pressure charging kind of thing. And I think the silencer originally was stuffed with asbestos.
Really.
So it wound up being essentially a tuned exhaust or something. So.
Yes, indeed, what Chris just said is correct, although I don't claim to understand how it works. It says here the engines had exhaust pulse pressure charging that helps them develop 1,200 horsepower. So I presume it was some kind of, I'm going to guess, I'm going to stick my neck out and say some kind of turbo on it. And that's why that exhaust was so important, what Chris is saying there. Anyway, let's crack on. Yeah.
See toast on there, James.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, toast.
Very important part of any loco.
Cooker.
Cook your food.
A lot of them had that on, you know. Yeah, a lot of the locals had it in the cab.
Yeah.
Enough of all that technical twaddle, let's take a look at some artwork. So this is the famous painting that was done of the Metrovick locomotives. All 20 locomotives were initially allocated to the London Midland region, and initially they had this prestigious job, which is quite ironic because they weren't a successful locomotive, but they had this prestigious job of working the Condor Night Express freight service, and it went from London to Glasgow, overnight freight train. In order to, I think, promote that, there was a painting commissioned, and this famous artist painted the locomotives. I've got a wonderful Pathé newsreel clip. I'm going to only show you a little bit because I probably shouldn't show it you, but there's a bit of a clip coming up of the artist painting it. So they worked this overnight Condor Express. It was called the Condor because it was an early container train, container, door to door, Condor. That's why it was called that. And they worked this overnight freight train. So take a look at this clip now. I'm going to show you this Pathé newsreel clip.
As a 1200 horsepower Type 2 Co Bo diesel electric locomotive. Mr. Cuneo has been commissioned by the railway authorities to paint the condor for a poster, which will be on view to millions of people. This on-the-spot job has its disadvantages, but a lookout is here to ensure that the artist is not so engrossed in his work that he ends up with the 10:25 down train in the small of his back. To the severest critics of all, the men who actually drive the train. And from them, Cuneo wants not flowery phrases, but factual criticism. Once past the acid test, this considerable work of art in its own right is then ready for its national debut.
So what happened to these rather odd locomotives after the glory days of the Condor night freight? Well, the Crossley engines in them apparently turned out to be unreliable. Now, I'm not a technically minded man, so I can't tell you what was wrong with them, but at the time, British Rail was trying out all sorts of new diesel locomotives because they were trying to convert from steam to diesel. So these, unfortunately, were just not a successful locomotive. So problems with the Crossley engines, they all got shunted, if you pardon the pun, up to Barrow-in-Furness Depot and then eventually Carlisle Depot, where they worked short freight runs up in the north-west of Britain. And after 10 years, they got withdrawn, and apparently by 1971, they were withdrawn, and most of them were scrapped, and the parts were sold and melted down, basically. So, remarkably, this one survived because it got used as a train heating unit. I think it was used as a train heating unit, so it was sent off to Derby to heat some carriages up, and then just survive the cutter's torch. And so that's why we've got this wonderful piece here today. I'm going to tell you in a bit how you can follow its progress and where you can catch up with the group that are restoring it. But let's crack on with the tour.
Right, it's the second compartment now. So what we're walking on. This is the engine compartment.
Right, so this is the engine compartment.
Yeah, so this is the mount for the engine here. You can see the generator is supported on some wood at the moment. When everything's in here, they will all join together. And there's two mounts on that and a mount there. So the whole kind of big unit will be on a 3-point mount essentially. And that allows it a bit of movement and stuff, because obviously it'll rattle and shake and everything.
So what engine was it, just for the camera?
It was a 1200 horsepower 2-stroke Crossley HST V8.
Right, brilliant. Now, just on the rattling and shaking of the Crossley engine that Chris mentioned then, take a look at this drawing here of the locomotive when they first came out of the manufacturer's works. Look at the outer windscreens, the two small outer windscreens. They had like a wrap round effect. They sort of like with curved glass in them. Apparently the engine shook and rattled that much, they fell out. It rattled its own windscreen out, apparently. so you read. I mean, you never know, but it was a bit of a design fault in that curved glass. And so later, if you look at this picture here, they had to sort of redesign it, put a little plate in, redesign it, and put the glass in so that it didn't curve around so much. But another little design failure on this locomotive. Let's crack on. And then you're saying that's the mount for the engine?
Yeah. Or one of the mounts for the engine generator combo.
Yeah, right, wow. And the engine's gone off at the moment to be fixed?
Yes, it's currently at North Links Diesels, I think, which is the same place that rebuilt the Merley's engine for 37901 just recently, I think. So
Is it having a rebuild?
Eventually, yeah, I think.
Refit, refurb, rebuild,
yeah.
everything, yeah, wow. I love that there. It's like a massive gearbox, but obviously...
Yeah,
that's just my interpretation.
There's nothing small about this kind of engineering. It's all very big and well built and built to last.
Yeah.
That there is a combined water and oil.
Water and oil pump.
Water will be used. You see these blue pipes?
Yeah.
That go into these. You can see there's a radiator.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there. Yeah.
And there's a fan up the top there as well.
So that's the cooling system.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's also what determines what is the number 1 and number 2 end. The number 1 end is the one that's closest to the cooler group.
Number 1 end closest to the cooler group?
Yeah.
Number 2 end,
is
obviously where the electrics are and all that shit, right. So we just entered at number 2 end,
yeah.
Going towards number 1 end.
Yeah.
People like to know this stuff, I'll get corrected, you see, otherwise.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that that's why the number 1 and number 2 end are called that. I didn't know until recently.
No, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And just because I can't resist it, here's a Class 60. This is about 30 years old, this loco. Take a look inside this one for comparison. And the sound.
painted.
Well, yeah, well, that's part of it, James. They've actually done it all. They've done that on purpose, haven't you, so you can identify stuff.
Yeah, everything's colour coded, like the blue is
Nice colours.
grey, oil, all that kind of stuff. You can see over here as well, another crucial part, the traction motor blowers.
Oh, those are traction motor
Yeah,
blowers.
so,
Right, so basically those traction motors get very hot,
Yeah.
am I right?
Yeah,
In layman's terms,
Yeah.
and you have to literally continuously blow them.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was one at the other end that doesn't have the motor in it at the moment.
So the electric finally goes to these big massive motors that attach to the wheels. I'm explaining to him, like I know, and they got very warm, so they had continuous blowers on.
Well, this kind of relates to what Steve was saying before about all the contactors in the electrical room and how it's kind of a digital system but with analog components.
Yeah.
Basically, some of them are interlocked. So, for example, the traction motor blowers have to go on. So these would have to start before like the traction motors can come on. So it is digital in a way.
Yeah, I'm hearing
It's
you.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I love it.
Yeah.
I love this 1950s technology kind of thing. You know what I love? The Onslaught,
Yeah, yeah,
the warship.
Yeah, yeah.
When you get in the cab of that,
yeah.
it's unbelievable. It's like going back in time.
I've
isn't
never
it?
been in it myself, but I've
Oh,
heard
you need to
things.
look. You need to
Yeah.
look. Right, let me show this traction motor blower. Just watch where I'm walking. So that's thing there.
Yeah. You see how it's got like a fan inside there?
Yeah, and it's blowing down, I suppose, onto the.
Yeah, yeah.
It was Metrovick, weren't it?
Yeah, yeah.
We're trying to. It was. I'll have to have a quick look. Trafford Park, we think, don't we?
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, as you said before, it's a very Manchester loco, isn't
Yeah,
it?
with a Crossley power unit as well.
Initially, how many built?
20.
20. This remarkably got saved, didn't it?
Yeah. It was used as a test loco at Derby, and then used for electric train heating carriage warmer thing where it carried the departmental number TDB 968006, I think.
Well remembered.
It's
So there it is in its last days on British Rail. I think that's pictured at Swindon. It hung around, they probably didn't know quite what to do with it. It was a train heating unit, so I presume that means if there was a locomotive that couldn't provide heating for the carriages, they'd stick this thing on, it would just heat the carriages up for the locomotive. Well done, Chris, you were right as well. The number was TDB 968006. That would have been its kind of like not loco number. That would have been more its I'm a train heating unit number. But that was its last number on British Rail. And then somebody had the foresight to say, we're having that, we're saving it. And it's eventually ended up at Bury, and this wonderful group of volunteers are going to save it. And when they get it running again, I will video it for you and I will put it up on YouTube. I think they need some more time yet before they get it running. I don't think it's imminent, but if I can be there when they run it, I will definitely be there for you. What was I going to say? 1,200 horsepower, I think we've covered that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Class 28 it would have been if it had got to the tops era. So this is number one end. Obviously not complete, but there's number one end. And of course, like the big kid I am, I had to have my photo took while I was pretending I was driving it, and that made my day. Brilliant. Cooler group there. And cooler group there. So, Chris, thanks for the tour.
no worries.
Where can people follow the progress of the locomotive?
There is a Class 28 Facebook group,
Yep.
and also the Class 15 Preservation Society website has stuff on it as well, I think.
Right, and you do the work down there just at the
Yeah, at the sheds down in Barron.
the sheds in Bury. Right, so you can look you up on Facebook.
Yep.
I'll call this out, don't worry. The website.
Yeah, there's the Class 15 Preservation Society website.
Why 15?
Because Well, the Co Bo is owned by 3 individuals,
Yeah.
but the 15 Preservation Society are custodians of it,
Right.
so we do the work.
Right, so Facebook or the Class 15 Locomotive Group website.
Yep.
Right, so I suggest you follow its progress, and when it's running, it'll be amazing because it'll be the only one of its kind left. Yeah. Thank you very much for the
No
tour.
worries.
Cheers,
Nice to
Chris.
meet you.
Nice to meet you. Now, the annoying thing about doing this video with you
Yeah.
here is that you don't appreciate what that is. Roy does.
I definitely do.
You've seen the painting, haven't you? But you don't, do you?
No.
And I almost feel sorry for you, to be honest with you. He's looking around going, right, yeah, it's a train. But I'm trying to tell him how unique it is, how brilliantly unique it is. The last survivor of its kind.
It looks cool.
You could bring the kids, couldn't you, when you have some?
Yeah, little play area.
Yeah, you could bring play area. You could bring, what's it called, squirrel nutkin and apple.
Yeah.
But as long as they've not got oil allergies, you could bring them along, couldn't you? If they can't, they've got paint allergies. Anyway, we're going to the pub. Oh, hang on a minute. You're not being on here. And while we're here, you may recognise this gentleman here. This is Hull History Nerd.
Yes, I'm from all the way from Hull, taking photos of trains because I'm a nerd.
Anyway, Hull History Nerd, check out his channel. What your channel is? Hull History Nerd.
Hull History Nerd.
Because you're from Hull, you
I'm
like
a
your history,
I'm a nerd.
and he's a nerd.
But loads of history, mainly about Hull, but also occasional videos about diesel locomotives. So if you're a train nerd, do pop along and have a look.
Are you filming a video today about diesel trains?
Loads.
Yeah, are you
Getting
going to go on the
footage for all of them.
Metrovick?
Definitely.
I
I've
think,
got a whole plan for the Metrovick and its story of its how this one survived, because it was basically warming coaches in Bristol depot.
It was indeed, yeah. Remarkably, that's how it survived and didn't get scrapped.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What a story.
Good to meet you.
And you.
So, we're going to the pub now, so you're welcome to join us.
Excellent.
Right, James? Pub. See you soon.
See you later.
Right, we're going to the pub. Thanks very much for watching. From the East Lancashire Railway, take care, and I shall see you very soon in the next video.
Bye.